The first objection of the critics is that there are contradictions concerning the number of women who went to the tomb. Matthew mentions Mary Magdalene and the other Mary. 2 women, Mark mentions Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome. 3 women, Luke simply mentions the women, while John mentions only Mary Magdalene. 1 woman. But writers have every right to select facts according to their purposes. Mark obviously feels it is important to report that Salome was also at the tomb, while Matthew does not. Perhaps Salome was the woman, or one of the 2 women, who reported the events to Mark. Or, because Matthew learned of this event from a different source which may not have included Salome, he does not mention her. We cannot know the reasons why one author selects information another author does not. Such information is simply not given, nor does anyone have the right to expect that it should be. It would make any writer's job virtually impossible for him to meticulously list all the specific reasons for including the details he did, and why he did not include other details. The critics charge that Luke disagrees with Matthew and Mark, because Luke merely mentions the women. But this is absurd. Notice, none of the gospel writers say it was only 2 women, or only 1 woman, or only these 3 women. Each writer describes those he wants to recognize, either because of a specific emphasis he has, or because that is all the information he knows. But none of the writers give wrong or contradictory information. If one of the 4 writers had said only so and so went to the tomb, and another writer said only somebody else specifically went to the tomb, then we would have a contradiction. Today, it is perfectly reasonable for 2 modern newspaper reporters to describe a women's gathering honoring 3 particular ladies, and to either name the specific individuals present, or to refer to one woman representative of the entire group, or to just cite the honored women of the occasion. How about one more example? Let's say a controversial event just happened. Both Fox and CNN does a 1-minute commentary. What if you watch or read each commentary about the event and you notice what looks like a discrepancy or contradiction, a disagreement between the 2? Does that mean the event did not happen? No, it just means they each reported it the way they wanted to. Similarly, in referring only to the women, Luke does not contradict Matthew and Mark, he is simply less specific. The critics charge that John contradicts Matthew, Mark, and Luke, because he mentions only 1 woman, Mary Magdalene, who went to the tomb. There are 2 possibilities. First, all the women set out for the tomb, and Mary arrived first. John simply records the fact of Mary arriving first. Or second, it may be as simple as stating John only chooses to write about Mary even though he could have written about all of them. But again, John didn't say only Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and no other women. There is no reason why John should not concentrate upon Mary Magdalene if he has reason to do so. Here are at least 4 good reasons John concentrates upon Mary Magdalene. 1. Jesus' first resurrection appearance was to Mary Magdalene, not one of the apostles according to Mark's appendix.
Now when he rose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons.
2. Mary had looked into the tomb and seen the 2 angels.
But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. And as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb, and she saw 2 angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet.
3. Jesus may have appeared to Mary first because he knew of her complete dedication and earnestness in following him.
But standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene.
John has already recorded in chapter 19 verse 25 that Mary was at the cross while Jesus was dying.
Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb.
In John chapter 20 verse 1, she went to his tomb early on Sunday morning.
Then the disciples went back to their homes. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. And as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb, and she saw 2 angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus.
In chapter 20 verses 10 to 14, Mary remained outside the tomb crying. All of these things reveal how much Mary loved Jesus, and for, in chapter 20 verse 17, Mary was personally commissioned by Jesus to go and tell the disciples the good news.
Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God."